Hey guys, I am down on the allotment today to pinch out my amaranth and to try and figure out what is going on with my Snapdragon and my Dahlia and see if I can get them to start blooming a little bit better for me. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Peggy and I am growing a cut flower garden here on my allotment in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, which is just south of Tokyo in USDA Zone 9B. Thanks for checking out my channel. Okay, so here is the amaranth that I put out into the garden about 2 weeks ago. Now I started this at home from seed, and it only took about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to get to a size where I felt comfortable putting it in the garden. Now we have had really hot weather and I wasn't here for 10 days, so this wasn't getting watered, and it still got really big and really strong really quickly, so I'm really impressed with this and happy with it. But I am now down to pinch it out. Now, pinching your flowers literally means just cutting off the top stem. You're cutting out that middle growing stem. And the idea behind it is that by cutting out the middle growing stem, you are going to encourage the plant to put out more side stems, and that makes your plant bushier and generally ends up with more flowers. With amaranth, it's a little bit different. Now, you're doing the same thing. You're cutting out this main stem and you're going to get lots more side stems coming up. But if you don't do that, your amaranth's going to keep growing on this one big main stem, and it just gets so thick. It's like a broom handle. Mosquitoes! I need to put a top on. Yeah, it gets so thick it becomes like a broom handle and you can't use it. And the plant puts all the energy really into that one big, huge, massive main stem, and you get very little side stem from it. So it's really important with this one that if you want to use it for arranging, that you are actually coming down when it's about this height and pinching it out. Okay, now for some reason with these amaranth, these back four have grown really big and tall, and these front ones are much smaller. But this one doesn't actually seem to have a center stem. It's already growing as two. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And this one has enough of a center stem that although it's much shorter than these, I'm going to go ahead and pinch this out anyway. Yeah, they're all getting pinched. Okay, so pinching pretty much is exactly as it sounds. You're just going to get your plant. I'll see so you can actually see the plant. There you go. We're going to take our plant. We're going to come up to where there is a set of 2 healthy leaves. And we're going to chop the top off. Here you go. It seems really strange that when everything else is starting to get a bit crispy and dying in my garden, I am doing this to the healthy plants. But really, if I don't do this, it's going to be completely unusable. So we're just going to go through each plant and take off its head. Ta-da! Oh, these little ones. Ugh. It's looking pretty bushy anyway, but I'm going to take that. And this one I'm going to leave because I don't know which of these is the main growing stem. But that's it. Amaranth, done. Okay, the next thing I need to look at today is my Snapdragon. My Snapdragon are in here. Now, if you have been following along with my growing season, you'll know that I had a problem with my potting mix at the beginning of the season, and a lot of the seeds that I started stalled, and I was kind of having to force them. I got them into the ground when they were still a bit small and not really as healthy as I would have liked them to be, just to get them out of the potting mix. And they did come on for me, and I have had some cuts from them, especially the Black Prince. Now the Black Prince in itself is a new one for me this year, and while I love the colour of it, it's a much shorter plant. But more than that, it's on quite thin stems, which makes it very hard to do the kind of arranging I do, where I'm using a lot of the pin frogs. The stems just aren't thick enough to stick in the pin frogs and they just flop over. So while I liked this one, it has been quite hard to use. The others, which was just a standard mix of Snapdragon I got, just haven't really produced at all. At all. I've had a couple of cuts of nice pink ones. I've had some of the white ones that you can see are still blooming. But they've been nowhere near as big as they should be. These guys should be over 1 meter tall. I'm bending down, you know, they're about knee height. And I'm a short person, so that's not very tall at all. So they haven't done what I wanted them to do, but they've also not died. Now in the past, I found that during the summer months, these guys just get crispy and die back, but that hasn't happened as much in this garden. So what I'm going to do today is first of all go through and weed it, because this grass is taking over and that's probably not helping them very much either. I'm going to go through and weed it, and then I'm going to come back and see what I can do to try and stop these guys blooming for a couple of weeks, get their energy up, and then hopefully when it cools down in September, get these guys to give me an autumn flush. That's the plan. First, I'm going to weed. Okay, so now this is all really nicely weeded out, and I'm really happy to see that although these aren't as strong as I would like them, they are actually really big, healthy, bushy plants, and they're looking good, and they're still putting out new roots really low down. So it's just the height that isn't coming through, which is a bit disappointing. So what am I going to do about it? Well, because these haven't been usable stems, I mean, ooh, falling over. I'm literally getting this off them, and just one or two flowers at the top, which I guess is nice if you're just putting them in a little bud vase or something. But not really what I want to use them for, and nowhere near what they should be as grown for a cut flower. So because they were kind of so thin stemmed and not very impressive, I just haven't been cutting them, which is probably a bad idea as well. So a lot of these you can see in here, like this one, the flowers have died back and they have started to go to seed. Now, as soon as your plant starts to go to seed, it's going to stop producing flowers for you. And because I want these to come with a nice big autumn flush, that's really not what I want. So now what I'm going to do is go through and just really chop these all back quite far. Now, this is either going to go two ways. Either they're going to like it, they're going to put a lot of their energy into putting on a big second flush, and I'm going to get nice snapdragons for the autumn, or it's going to go really badly and they're just going to refuse to grow and they will all die. It's about a 50-50 chance here. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through and just cut off all of these. I'm going to cut them quite low down to try and encourage big long stems. You know, when you're harvesting, you should really cut as deep into the plant as you can to encourage a nice long stem on it. So I am going to cut quite deep and just make sure that there are none with these kind of seed heads on them, and hope that that encourages the plants to put up some new stems and give me more flowers. Taller, stronger flowers. That's what I want. Because right now, I'm not really able to do anything with that. Time for the chop, boys. Didn't mean that as maliciously as it sounded. Okay, I'm not going to lie, that was pretty brutal. I've cut these guys back almost to ground, and I'm not sure if that's going to be okay. It might be too late in the season for these guys to bounce back, and I might just have killed everything off. I did get 3 stems to take home, although they are small and skinny. But honestly, if they don't bounce back, I'm not actually at a loss, because the stems they were giving me just weren't realistically usable as a cut flower. So I'm going to hope that they bounce back. I really am. They still look strong. They're just so skinny. The stems are so skinny. But yeah, if they don't bounce back, then it's no real loss because I just wasn't using them anyway. But let's see if this works. So much like the Snapdragon, although they haven't produced a lot of flowers for me, some of them have produced flower. And because I've not cut them, these are going to go to seed. And again, that's going to encourage the plant to make more seeds and not make as many flowers. So I'm just going to go through and make sure that any that have flowered are getting cut back. And as I just said, I'm going to take it right back to the main stem and cut it there. If I was to go in and cut this here where only the flower stem is, I'm only really cutting off that. And so the plant is only going to put these ones up to make the same again. So again, I'm only going to get that. Whereas if I cut it all the way back to here, the plant's now going to try and regrow a stem that long. So it just means that you get much longer stems on the flowers that grow in, because the next one I cut will be that long. Does that make sense? Any more flowers? Also here, I've got a kind of dangly one, where obviously it's only just holding on, you can't really see because of the stick, and has been damaged. So I'm going to go in and take that off to make sure that the plant's only really putting its energy into big strong stems. I'm going to show you this one a little bit closer up. Okay, so you can see that this is a big strong looking dahlia and it's starting to get buds, but it's almost at a right angle here because this main stem that it's growing off has fallen down, and dahlia will always try and reach for the sun. So although this has fallen down, the new shoots are starting to come up. But there's actually, if you look here, this 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all from the same tuber, which is in there. So this looks really nice and big and strong and has quite a bushy lot of stems coming off it. And this one looks like it's not going to do too bad. And this little one that's coming out the side here is trying to come up straight as well. So I don't really need it putting energy into this bent stem here, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut that off. Even though that looked like it could have given me a lot of flowers, I'm going to let the plant put all its energy into this little one, and this big one, and hope that I get much straighter stems. I've kind of got the same thing going on here. This is just one stem though, it doesn't have loads of stems, but they're really bent because they've been lying down. So what I'm going to do is cut this where it bends. Find a pair of leaves and just cut off that bend. This one too. I'm going to cut maybe there. That's already about to fall off. It's been broken somewhat. Now I don't want that to fall down again, so I'm going to go and get a little stick to try and hold that up. I might actually just cut that right back to there. And hope that the next set of leaves that start to grow on this, which you can't see because there's poles in the way, the next set of leaves that start to grow on this will start growing straight up instead of having the big bends on them. Now obviously these guys are already late in blooming. I really want the flowers on, and cutting them back that much is going to delay the flowers further. But honestly, it's still really hot here, and I don't try that again. I don't think these are going to flower in the next couple of weeks anyway, into September when it actually starts to cool down. So if I can cut them back this much, they can use what little energy they have, hopefully, to put on growth and then start flowering for me in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to go through and take off any of the flowers and any of the bendy bits, any dead bits, any bits that just don't look healthy, and really try and focus on the healthiest stems that I can find in the plants. So again, that was pretty brutal, and this does look very different. Although it looks a lot neater and a lot healthier. So although it was brutal, I am hoping I'll get rewarded for it come autumn, which is only a couple of weeks away now. And these will finally start giving me some flowers. But I just don't know what's happened this year. I've never had issues with my dahlia blooming before. This is the first year where literally I've just had a few. Now it's not just here, it's the ones in my garden as well. So I'm going to say that it is weather related. But if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. Now I'm going to go and pick all the rest of the flowers that are actually blooming in the garden. Okay, the sun is going down quickly here, so I am going to try and get the last of these flowers cut really quickly and then head home. So that is all from me this week. If you want to follow along and see what happens in the rest of the season, and if these Chelsea chops, if you like, are going to be successful, then please do remember to hit the subscribe button below. If you want to see what I do with my flowers, you can check out my Instagram, which is From the Witch's Garden, and there's a link to that below. And here you can see just kind of the everyday goings on of the garden, as well as what I do with all of my flowers as well. But for me, for this week, that's all, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!